I'm very excited about today's episode. I have a very special guest with me today. She's all the way from USA. She is the founder of Nastava Jewelry, and apart from that, she has her own podcast. So, before any delay, let's welcome Beverly Price. Hi, Beverly. How are you doing today?
Doing wonderfully. Thank you so much.
You are most welcome, Beverly. First of all, thank you so much for being part of Inspiration Talks. I really appreciate. So, Beverly, Beverly, I would like to start our today's conversation with your early life. Like, as you are currently the founder of Nastava Jewelry. So, what were you doing before? Like, were you doing any job? How was your life before?
Sure. I grew up most of my life in the early years in Virginia and North Carolina, which is on the east coast of the United States. I had a lovely childhood. I went to college at North Carolina State University, and I got my graduate degree, my MBA, from Queen's University in Charlotte, North Carolina. I began my corporate career at a bank, a large bank, and then I moved to an advertising agency and then to insurance companies. And once I was in the insurance company, I found that I didn't get to do many things creative, and I was a very creative person. So I left there to start my own business.
So, as you are the founder of Nastava Jewelry, so how did you decide to make your business in jewelry field?
Uh, well, I gave my daughters a gift certificate to a jewelry making shop, and they enjoyed it, but I fell in love and became obsessed with it and just loved the creative outlet that it was. And the environment that I worked at for the last insurance company I worked for was not very positive. So I decided to leave there and start my business. In addition, at MBA school, we were studying entrepreneurship. So that gave me a lot of the skills and knowledge I needed to start my own business.
So, did you imagine to be in this position which you are today when you were little?
Yes, I imagined to be someone else. I actually wanted to be president of the United States.
Okay, that's great though. So, why did you not become the president of USA? My question.
um,
Yeah.
I just became fascinated with business.
Okay.
And I was a single mother of two children and needed to earn a living. So I went into banking, and I didn't like all the aspects of politics that were so negative.
Okay, so usually when we start our own business or brand, we are not pro at it. And there are certain people or person who will support you in each and every step. So was there any particular person who was there to support you when you started your own brand of Nutawa?
Actually, no. I had, as I came to be with a single mother, all of my time was spent working and caring for my children. So I didn't have time to build a support system to help me. So it was a very lonely, kind of stressful process. I wish that I had had a support system and support people to deal with, but I did not.
Okay, so how do you manage your work life?
Well, then I didn't manage it well at all because I had so much to do at one time. Now, after being in it for years, I've learned how to separate my work from my personal life to actually have a beginning of the workday and an end of the workday, and then be with my family. So it took a lot of time to develop that balance. And I still, if I'm really honest, I tend to be a workaholic myself.
Okay. Is it good to be workaholic according to you, or is it good to be like to give time to each and everything, like half your time to your family and half your time to your work?
Yes, it would be much better to do that than to be a workaholic.
Yeah, that's right. I completely agree. It's very important actually for our health
Yes, very.
to give some break
Yes.
for your own self
Yes.
even. So
Yeah,
here
my
comes,
children are
yeah.
grown now.
Okay, oh, okay. Okay, that's great to know. So what do you enjoy most about your work, and what do you find hardest about it?
Well, I enjoy most the creativity, the coming up with the designs. All of my pieces are one of a kind, so it's almost like painting a picture. Everything is different. Um, the hardest thing I think is juggling all the things you have to do and the different hats you have to wear to run a business. You can't just be the creative person. You have to be the business person. You have to be the salesperson. There's just so many facets to it. It's a juggling act.
Okay, so how did you grow your business? Like, how did you increase the sales?
Well, my business is 100% online. So,
Mhm.
what I'm trying to do is through email marketing, social media marketing, word of mouth to grow my business that way.
Okay, so like you are doing currently your brand as online, like you're selling the jewelry pieces
Yes.
online. That's agree. So moving towards the next question, how one can realize their own power and go from self-loathing to self-loving.
Well, it's with a lot of work. When I grew up, I did not grow up in a super positive environment. I had everything I needed materially, but I wasn't raised to love myself and be empowered. So I had to learn the hard way. Took a lot of work, it took some therapy, it took
Mhm.
a lot of gratitude and affirmations and positive thinking on my part to get to that place where I was empowered and loved myself.
Okay, so do you think therapies usually help?
Yes, I definitely believe it helps. If you have the right therapist. I think there's some really good therapists out there, and I think there's some not so good. So I think if you have the right person that can set goals and get you there, I think it's a very positive experience.
Okay, so as you have your own podcast, which is going to come very soon, so how did you start your own podcast?
Well, I started out being on podcasts to promote my jewelry business. And my jewelry business was all about empowering women to be beautiful on the inside and out. So once I had been on podcasts, the idea came to me to start my own to help women. And what it's about is helping women on their journey from self expression to self empowerment so that they feel good about themselves and they can do the things and have the life they love.
That's great initiative. And who all can join your podcast? Like, are you looking for some specific people?
Well, I tend to look for people that can have topics that deal with a woman's growth on the inside and on the outside. So it could be people like therapists, it could be coaches, it could be a fashion designer, it could be someone talking about body image. It just depends on what their topic is.
Okay, that's great. So looking forward for your podcast and all the best for it. Okay, so what do you think is more important, discipline or motivation?
Well, I tend to think motivation has to come first for you to even use your discipline. Because if you don't care about what you're doing, it doesn't matter how disciplined you are.
Yeah, right. Motivation is actually very important as compared to discipline. If you have the motivation, then you have the discipline. Okay, so what all activities one can do in their free time and what activities one person should not do?
Oh boy. Well, I think in their free time, family is very important.
Yeah.
I have a number of little dogs, so I love spending time with them too. I have two grown daughters, but they live in a different town than I do. Um, Obviously, I think the things you shouldn't do are things that get you in trouble. Anything illegal, anything addictive, um, I think you shouldn't do.
That's right. One should never do those activities which are addicting. Okay, Beverly, why is diversity an issue for you?
Well, I believe that our lives are richer when we
Yeah.
spend time with people different than ourselves and get to know them. I think if we don't spend time with them and get to know them, then they're always something that we don't understand and we can't appreciate. And I think if we don't understand, we can't get along. And I think that's something that's happening in the world now is we're having trouble getting along. And I think it's because we truly can't understand one another or we don't want to.
Ah, okay. Okay, so how to make people realize to support each other, like to be friendly with each other?
Oh, that's a big question. If someone wants to understand, of course, that's much easier. And I think that includes spending time with each other, maybe sitting down and having lunch, or it could be like you and I having a Zoom call, being an ocean apart, to get to know each other. So I think that's easy if somebody wants to be understood and wants to understand. If somebody doesn't want to be understood, that's really a challenge. I think you just have to do the best you can do to research what their life is like, what their beliefs are, to get some sense of understanding.
That's right. One should understand, one should try to figure out to understand the other person so that they can support each other. So, okay, so how does diversity impact a women's empowerment?
Well, I think that the more we know different people, the more we come to understand that we do have things in common and that we are beautiful people, that we were created for a reason and that everyone has worth and value. And I think when you believe in that, you're taking your first steps toward empowerment.
Is diversity much different now than when you were starting out professionally?
Well, I think the only thing I can speak to is diversity in the United States right now. And I think we have made some progress, but I think we have an awfully long way to go. I think there are a lot of very unhappy people, and we need to really do a lot to look at the differences, but more importantly, look at the similarities. I think across the globe, the fact that we do have wars going on kind of indicates that we don't have that understanding and compassion, that we see each other as enemies rather than potential friends.
I agree with the fact that mostly people don't see themselves as friends of each other. They are like more enemies nowadays. So how to make people realize that they are not enemies of each other and they should be friendly and they should be like more friendly and supportive to each other?
I think that it's by, the only thing I can think of, it's by getting to know them and thinking of them as a friend. If I sit down over a meal and talk to you and ask you about how you were raised and what your life was like and get to understand where you're coming from, then I think there's a greater chance that I don't want to fight with you. But the more I can keep you at a distance and not get to know you, it's easier to fight with you.
That's right. So now let's move towards some imagining questions. Let's move towards let's imagine and inspire. So Beverly, if you win a lottery ticket, for example, infinite amount of money, how will you invest that money?
Oh, I wish.
Everyone wishes to.
Yeah. I think I would first pay off my debts, and then second, give some of the money to family.
Okay.
And then third, put some money aside to leave to my grandchildren. And then I would give the remainder to charity.
Great. So I wish you win some lottery tickets so you can spend that money on all this which you have mentioned. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So all the best for the lottery ticket. Okay, so if you could live anywhere for one whole year, what country will you choose?
Well, I love Santorini in Greece. I think it is so beautiful that I would love to live there because of the view.
Oh, it's a great choice. I'm like, it's so beautiful. It's even in my bucket list. I really also would love to visit Greece one day. So Beverly, if you get a chance for a time machine, would you prefer to go in your past or in your future?
Well, I'd actually like to just stay in the present. My life is so wonderful now. I don't think there's a lot of good that can come from just looking back at my past. And I've kind of accepted my past without the need to change it. And I think my life is just so wonderful now. I don't see the need to look at it in the future. I'd rather not know the future and just.
Yeah, it's better to be in the present moment rather than to be in your past or future, because whatever has happened, it won't return to you, and you don't know what will happen in your future. So yeah, it's the right thing to be in your future. I mean, to be in your present. So Beverly, does anyone inspires you?
Yes, I think Oprah Winfrey and Maya Angelou inspire me because of their empathy and their love of people in general. I think Michelle Obama inspires me because she has tended to always look at the positive rather than getting down in the dirt and fighting with people. So I think those three women, but also my husband inspires me because he's such a good person. I think that I strive to be as good as he is.
Okay, that's great to know. So, how's your career progressing right now? What struggles are you facing, and what are your future goals?
Right now, some of the struggles are balancing and juggling everything that I have to do with the three businesses and trying to schedule my time. So those are the biggest. The second is always going to be how do you get more sales and trying to keep your revenue growing. And then my goals are to get my businesses, all of them stable and growing, and all three of them profitable at the same time.
All the best for it. Okay, so any advice for those who are looking forward to start their own business or podcast?
Sure. I think the main thing is to believe in yourself and believe in yourself no matter what, even if people tell you it's not going to work or you're foolish or you should go work for someone else. I think you have to believe in yourself no matter what. I think the second thing is to have a support system, to build those friendships and those mentorships so that you have people to turn to when things aren't going right. The third is to prepare yourself for all the emotions that come with running a business. That I found that when my sales are low, my mood tends to be low. And when my sales are high, then I'm excited and happy. And so I need to balance those, know that when times are tough, that there's always going to be something good that follows down the road.
Okay, so what's one piece of advice would you like to share with my listeners?
I think it goes back to believing in yourself. You need to come to the point where you care enough about yourself that you believe in yourself no matter what. If your parents didn't teach you to believe in yourself, then I think you need to act as if you do, and act as if you do until you actually do believe in yourself.
So it was great talking with you, Beverly. I really enjoyed talking with you, and here is a small gesture from me to you.
Same to you.
You're welcome. Would you like to say something in the end, Beverly?
Just thank you so much for having me. I've totally enjoyed it. And I just wish you a beautiful day.
Thanks once again, Beverly, for being part of Inspiration Talks. And thank you everyone for listening. See you all in the next episode. A mug?
Do I have a mug?
Yeah.